Hello, my name is Brian W. Foster, and thank you for joining us. On this episode, I sit down for a maple bourbon sour with the lovely and talented Laura Bailey. We discuss her theater background, acting and directing voiceover at a young age, becoming a mother, and so much more on this episode of Between the Sheets. Enjoy. Laura, cheers. Maple bourbon sour.
Heck yeah, man.
It's delicious. My mom starts drinking these about 8 a.m.
That's strong.
It's pretty strong. It's good
Yeah.
though. It's got a little. It's kind of like a whiskey sour, but with bourbon. I don't know.
How did we decide on this drink?
I used to make these for you years ago. In
I remember
New
that.
York City.
New York
New
City.
This stuff's made in. Where did you grow up? Born and raised?
Born in Mississippi. Yeah, my dad was in the Air Force.
Yeah.
So we traveled around a lot. So I was born in Mississippi, then we moved to Oklahoma, then we moved to San Antonio, then we moved to North Texas. And that was all before I was like 6 years old.
Yeah, military family.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then once I was in North Texas, we moved, I don't know, like 5 times before I was in high school.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Was that hard to make friends or to feel like you were grounded or had consistency?
yeah, no, it was weird because like at one school I would be cool, and then at the next school I would be a total loser.
Yeah.
So it kind of balanced.
Just because of the way you acted or?
Because I was a total loser. No, just because like different schools, like different things were cool, and you know, some.
And you're in different parts of the country where different
Well,
stuff
no, this was
is-
all in North Texas, so it was literally
Oh.
from like one school in Allen, Texas, to another elementary school in Allen, Texas,
Wow.
and like the kids just were different.
Because you have a sister.
I do.
Older or younger?
She's older. She's 3 years
great.
older.
Yeah.
Jenny, she's amazing.
Did she...
Who just texted me the other day, and she was like, "I've become addicted to Critical Role."
Really?
I know, and I'm like, "Whoa,
Wow.
it's close."
What was the pushing point for her to finally join the...
Well, no, we always wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons when we were kids, but we just could never get a hold of it. Like, just wasn't available to us.
What do you mean?
You know, like
You didn't know anybody that played?
yeah,
It
we
was
didn't know
like,
anybody that
would it
played,
just
and
be the
then
two of you?
yeah, and then you know,
Yeah.
so she ran a comic book store for a while, so she had kids that came in the store that would play and stuff, and she always wanted to, and she still hasn't.
About what age were you when you started to get into drama and theater? And was
Oh,
that not till
gosh.
high school or was that younger?
No, I tried out for stuff in middle school. So how old are you in middle school?
Well, I was 19.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
you're a bad judge of
Yeah,
that.
I'm not.
Probably like what, like 12? Is
I
that
think you're
how
like,
old you are?
yeah, 11, 12 years old. Yeah.
I tried out. I was incredibly shy because we moved around a lot, you know. So I tried out for Romeo and Juliet in middle school because, you know, middle schools should do Shakespeare.
Yeah, of course.
And
Accessible.
I was terrible. Like, I talked so quiet that the teacher couldn't hear me, like, from the stage to her seat in the front row. And I couldn't talk any louder than that.
Do you think your shyness, you said it comes from, moving a bunch and everything.
Yeah.
It's hard to picture you as a shy individual. Not
But
that
I'm
you're-
still, like, think about it when I'm at parties or something.
Yeah, you're pretty quiet.
I'm pretty quiet.
Yeah, you're not the most outgoing, but if
Right.
you strike up a conversation with you, you're
sure,
very
yeah.
conversational.
Yeah. I'm find the dog in the corner and
Yeah,
sit
yeah,
and
yeah.
pet the dog the entire time. Yeah.
But you usually end up just talking to me the entire time.
Same
difference.
Yeah.
We both pee on the floor. So how'd you overcome the shyness?
You know, I think so. I started going to a youth group when I was a freshman.
Like a church youth group?
A
thing?
church youth
Yeah,
group.
yeah.
Because up until that point, I was like super, like even during school lunch, I wouldn't eat in the cafeteria. I was so like awkward in the cafeteria. I hated finding the table. So I would always just like, I was part of the science lab team. So I would eat in the science lab.
Oh.
And one of my friends who also ate in the science lab, she was like, I have this youth group that I go to, but I don't really know anybody, and it kind of makes me uncomfortable when I'm there. So I said I would go with her so that she wouldn't be alone, and then both of us just kind of became friends with the rest of the group, and it really brought both of our personalities out a lot.
You think that made a difference in it being easier for you to make friends?
Yeah.
Just getting a
huge.
little bit
Well,
of
because,
practice and-
you go to the church youth group and, like, it's the cool kids mixed in with the not so cool kids, and then you feel a little more comfortable and realize that everybody's just the same.
Yeah. In high school, did you give it another try, acting and doing theater and
Yeah,
stuff?
so I was
After you
doing-
sort of, came out of your shell a little bit more?
I was doing choir because you can kind of hide with that. And we did a yearly musical, and we were doing My Fair Lady.
Oh.
And so I was auditioning for it, and I was a freshman, and at my school, you couldn't get a lead part if you were a freshman.
Yeah,
You were just
mine
not allowed
too.
to. But the girl, there was a senior that got the lead of Eliza, came up to me afterwards, and she was like, you should audition for theater because I think you're really good. I watched your audition, and she's like, if I had my choice, you would be my understudy. I think you're really great. And it was like, I idolized this girl. I thought she was amazing. Her name was Ellie. And I just thought she was the best actress and the best singer. And so I went and auditioned for the next theater production that they had, and that's when I started doing theater.
You got the part.
I don't remember if I got the part, but I just loved theater after
Yeah.
that, and I started taking theater classes in addition to just choir classes.
When did you figure out that you liked singing?
Oh, I was in choir as soon as I could, so probably like when I was 10 or 11 or something like that.
You enjoyed it? It was
Yeah, I loved
something
like
that-
music class and everything.
Were you always singing along with,
Who
your-
didn't like music when they were a kid? I mean, Disney, come on.
Yeah.
I would sing along with Ariel all the time.
Do you like musicals more, or did you like just straight acting, theater stuff? Because obviously you love singing, but
I do.
mixing the two of those.
I didn't do a lot of musicals in college. I did more just straight up theater. Yeah, I got shy again singing. I don't remember what point that hit, and I like convinced myself that I couldn't actually sing, and it's taken a long time to kind of remind myself that, oh yeah, I can do that again.
What happened there? You just got in your own head?
Yeah, I just got nervous. I still get nervous, like whenever I have to sing for anything when I'm on a mic, and you're in the booth and there's all these people out there staring at you. I get really like, ugh. And now I just try to fake it that I feel confident, and like hopefully they believe it.
Does singing feel more vulnerable to you than just acting?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because if you're acting, you can hide behind
The other
a
character, but-
and their voice and their mannerisms. But
Right.
if you're singing even in character and even in a musical, it's really you.
It is, and you're putting yourself out there, and your voice cracks. You can't, if you're doing a play and you stumble on a line, you can play that off. But if you stumble in the song, you can't really.
You have to start it all over.
Yeah, you just stop the whole production and tell them to start the song over. That's
Yeah.
usually what you do, right?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's the least intrusive way to interrupt it. It's okay.
Sorry about that.
It just sounds like
We're making
a
music here.
metronome. We're making music here
Yeah.
now. Yeah. Second half of this will be you singing.
Great, I can't wait.
I have a whole list of things I want to hear you
Wow,
sing.
it's gonna be the best.
When then did you go, okay, this acting thing, I'm really passionate about this. This is something that I want to pursue.
Oh God.
Was there a moment for you?
No,
or
there
it just
was a
gradual?
moment. There was a moment, and it's like the most stupid moment.
Tell me.
Okay. So I was doing theater, but I was sure I still wanted to be a biologist. I was studying science and everything like that. Science lab,
Science
as I
nerd.
told you.
Yeah.
And I was watching this. So I never watched the show. I haven't seen an episode of Dawson's Creek.
Oh, Dawson's Creek.
Yeah, I haven't seen
A
it.
timeless classic.
Yes. But I was home and I was watching a behind the scenes thing. For some reason, it was on TV. And Katie Holmes was being interviewed. And she was my age at the time, you know? She still is probably my
Wait,
age.
she changed the
Crazy.
ages?
I don't know how that works. But she was in high school, and she was talking about how she auditioned for the show, but she almost didn't take the part because she was doing a play in school, and she would have let her whole production at school down. So, she just seemed so much like a normal person as she was talking about all of these things. And it was the first time that I realized, oh my God, you can actually pursue this as a career and just be human doing it. And
Yeah.
and so I turned off the program as soon as it was done, and I called up my mom and I was like, I want to be an actress. Like, I never realized I could actually do that. I want to be an actor. And she's like, Laura, you can't be an actor. I'm like, I'm going to do it. And I went to school the next day and I talked to my theater director, and She also said that you should probably finish school before you decide you're going to do it, but it didn't seem like Katie Holmes hadn't done that. That didn't make sense to me.
Were you going to drop out?
No, but I just
Okay.
wanted to I was like, how do I get an agent? Who do I talk to make this happen? And
You immediately wanted to
I
pursue
immediately
it.
wanted to pursue it.
Wow.
Just like a light switched on in my head.
What were the reasons why your mom was reluctant? Was your dad reluctant too?
Oh,
or
both
was
of
it-
them. Like the first thing I ever really pursued professionally was Funimation, right? Was
Yeah.
when I started doing anime. And my audition for that was, so the way Dallas is set up, I lived in Allen and the audition was in Fort Worth. So that's, like a 45-hour drive. And my mom was like, Laura, you don't want to audition for this show. You don't want to audition for this anime thing. She's like, your commitment is to college, to school, and that's just a distraction. And I was like, no, I really want to do it. So I went and auditioned and got the part. And then after a year of doing it, then my mom was like, and I had to reapply for my college classes. My mom was like, Laura, your first commitment is to Funimation. You should really put this college
Totally
thing in. Just a
switched.
total switch, because she realized, oh, it's actually a profession. You can do this.
Was there anything she saw in how much you enjoyed it or took to it that you think changed her mind?
I think when she realized you can get paid.
Yeah, you could actually make a living.
Because nobody,
from it.
yeah, like up until that point, especially in Allen, Texas, nobody thinks like you can actually make a career out of acting.
Acting.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you got that first Funimation part?
I had just graduated high school, so I was 18.
And
When
then
that happened.
you went on to do a lot of work with them.
Yeah. Well, I stayed with, the whole time I was in Texas, I was working at Funimation, and I just looked straight at the camera. Hi.
Now that's just heart music. That's all that happens. It's just, I'm muted. It's just heart music is going right now.
What was I saying?
So you got that first gig at Funimation.
Yes.
And then went to college
I was doing it at the same time.
at the same time.
It's funny because I had a recording session for Dragon Ball Z, and Barry, oh God, what's his name?
Alan.
He was, what?
Sanders. Barry Sanders.
Barry
I don't know.
Allen actually sounded really familiar, but that's not it, is
No.
it? Anyway,
That's the Flash.
he was one of the executives at Funimation. He was like one of the guys in charge, like to own the company.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a session, and I didn't go to my recording session because I had a college orientation that I had to go to.
boring.
And so totally last minute, I was like, no, I can't make it to the session, and I went to the college orientation instead. And I got a phone call from like the president of Funimation afterwards. And he called me and he said, Laura, this isn't a college class. This is a production. This is a professional environment, and you can't just
Play hooky
not
and-
show up.
Yeah.
If you schedule a session, you have to show up to it. And that was like when I realized, I need to maybe stop going to school if it gets in the way. So I kept missing class to go to my recording sessions, and finally my film teacher in college just said, Laura, just stop coming to class.
So you never graduated college?
I didn't. She said, stop coming to class because this is what you're coming to school for, and you're already doing it, so just go do it.
Any regrets at all about that? Obviously,
Nah.
you've become extremely successful by doing voiceover and acting.
Right. No, I
You
don't.
didn't need the rest of that college, really, in order to become a successful person.
Right. And I totally get it for people that want to do it.
Yeah.
I think it's a fluke that it worked out for me.
Yeah.
Because I support going to school and going to college and everything like that. But
But how many people land a first-time role sort of straight out of high school
Right.
like that, though?
right.
Thank you, Katie Holmes.
Thanks, Katie Holmes.
You did it.
I mean, Katie Holmes. How fucking weird is that?
Have you ever met her?
No.
If you ever meet her, you have to tell her that story.
She would be like, get the fuck away from me. Who are you?
But most people say that.
Maybe
to
she
you.
wouldn't. Maybe she's really nice. I don't know.
She's probably really nice. So then you end up directing some stuff for Funimation
I did.
too.
Look at you. Yeah, I did. I directed.
How was that experience for you?
It was great.
Did you take to it naturally?
Well, I directed shows that I was already working on.
Part of.
Yeah, so I kind of like took over directing. I directed Gunslinger Girl, and I
Mm-hmm.
directed Kodacha. I can't remember what else I directed. Some other stuff.
And were you college age-ish when you were already directing
Early
stuff
20s.
there?
Early 20s.
20s?
Yeah. I directed up until the point that I came out to California. That's when I stopped.
Did you have a hard time being taken seriously?
I actually produced over at Funimation too.
Yeah.
I became a line producer.
produced, directed, starred. Did you have trouble with anybody taking you
Seriously?
or respecting you because you were young and
Yeah,
doing
one of
that
my
part?
first recording sessions that I was directing, I had an older gentleman that came in and he was not having it. He just thought it was so dumb that I was directing him. Which, I mean, I totally get. If it looked like some like little high school kid was directing me, I'd be like, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah,
I've been doing this since you were in the womb.
yeah.
You know.
And did you win him over?
No, I'm sure I did, and I'm sure he was still annoyed when he left. But
What was your favorite show that you ended up doing out of all those great Funimation?
my favorite?
Yeah, what was the one that really lived with you and you think about it to this day? Because that was really that was the launching pad for your career, but it was also the launching pad for a lot of people in the voiceover world that,
Yeah.
that you know and that are now in LA working.
So many people came from.
Started out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, anime is so much harder than anybody gives it credit for. It is, we call it voice acting boot camp.
Why?
Because it's so much more work than doing like Western animation. You know, here you get the script and you go in a room and, I mean, you get the script ahead of time, you get to look at it, you get to look at your beats and work off of other people, and it's huge. And you're like, and in anime, you just are in a room by yourself and you're watching a video and you don't get to decide where you want the character to go. You're taking something that's already been built and breaking it back down and then trying to put it back together.
How do you find making creative choices with something that has so many,
Limitations?
limitations on it and boundaries? Because you have lip flaps, you have,
I enjoy the challenge. It's actually really fun for me to do anime because it can be so hard to give a believable performance when you're stuck to certain timings.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who were some of the people that you looked up to when you were starting out?
Oh gosh. Well, Chris Sabat was the first
Yeah.
person that gave me a job. And he's so welcoming and hilarious and made me so comfortable there.
Still friends with him to this day?
Still friends with. He was in our wedding.
Yeah. Who else? Just Chris.
Just Chris.
He's loving this right now.
Yeah, right. Chris.
He just feels so validated.
Colleen
yeah.
Klinkenbeard, who was my roommate for a while.
Yeah.
And I actually got her started at Funimation, but then she just like took off directing way before me.
Do you still
She's-
take credit for her
I
career?
take complete credit
You
for her.
should.
No. She's so talented. We did a play together, and that's how we met.
You did play together when you were in college?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did a play with her. That's how we met. And then she was like, wait, what do you do? Can you get me in the door? Awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Once the dropout of college thing happened, and then you started, or quit, whatever.
It just
walked
kind of like
away.
melted away.
It just
wasn't like...
it was a dissolve.
It really was. It was a dissolve.
Yeah.
By the end, I wasn't taking any real classes. It was only theater and like music classes. And then that sort of dissolved as well.
What were you interested in outside of acting? Because you love fantasy novels, you
Yeah.
love a lot of nerdy stuff. You talked about being in the science program.
Yes. That and writing. I did
And
a lot,
writing.
like creative writing and stuff.
What kind of stuff did you like to write?
Like
Fan fiction?
fan fiction / fiction.
Yeah.
No, just, normal. I didn't... Oh, God, I did make up a fantasy story now that I think about it.
What was it about?
Oh, my God.
Do you have it still?
I don't know, maybe somewhere. But I realized, I gave up on it because I realized it was turning into, it sounded like a game guide, when you're playing a computer game. It's like, walk over this direction and then look at the door and, yeah, so
First
I gave
draft
up on the
fantasy,
book. It was terrible.
Fantasy
It was
fan
about
fiction?
a girl named Eleanor who was a princess and she escaped. It sounds a lot like Disenchanted now that I think about it.
Do you want to sue them?
Oh my gosh. No, and she comes across she meets a dragon or some shit.
What was attractive to you about doing science at a young age and exploring that stuff?
I just thought it was amazing that we're made up of tiny little cells and how they worked and come together. And it was just so crazy to me that everything was made up of the same things.
Sometime during those Funimation days,
Yeah.
years, you got a call from Travis Willingham, who saw your name in the Dragon Ball Z credits,
Yeah.
and you guys had dated briefly.
We had not dated by this point.
Oh, by this point you hadn't. Okay.
Right.
So
At this point, he was just a dude that I
he
knew.
just knew you.
Yeah.
He was just a dude you knew.
Yeah.
So he calls you and says, "Hey, I saw your name on Dragon
Yeah.
Ball Z. I'm obsessed with Dragon Ball Z.
Mm-hmm.
Can you get me a job?"
Yeah.
What was your response to that?
It's like, yeah. Yeah, I totally can.
And then did you?
I just forgot. I just kept forgetting.
For what, 2 years?
A long time. I know. I realized I told the story about how I got Colleen in the door, like, and then
Yeah.
forgot. Yeah, Travis. He's so good. I really should have introduced him earlier.
When
but
he
I didn't
finally
know
came
him.
in, you went, "Man, we could have used this guy 2 years ago."
Yeah, he's pretty talented.
So then
There were so many people. That's the thing. Like, Funimation in Dallas was like the cool thing to do, right? So any job that I worked on, there were always people there like, I can do a little kid voice. I can do this voice. Can you just get me in the door? And you just kind of stop paying attention to it.
At what point did other stuff start to come in as a result of what you were doing at Funimation? Enough to where you decided, okay, it's time for me to try and move to LA to pursue this.
Actually, what I was doing at Funimation is not the reason I ever moved out to LA.
Okay.
I was doing a lot of on-camera work outside of Funimation.
Yeah.
And I had done big stuff, a Lifetime movie.
Mm-hmm.
And
Was that the one based on the Staircase murders?
Why, yes, it is, Brian.
Okay, I saw that movie.
Super talented in that, in my, 3 scenes.
I saw the Staircase documentary. The
It's
one,
really
the one
interesting.
from years ago,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
the
yeah.
new one that Netflix put on, but I saw that years ago, and I went on a deep Google dive,
Yeah.
reading all about what had happened and everything, and I come across a picture of you with this, short,
Yeah.
weird haircut, and there's no way that's Laura. It was you.
Yeah.
What did you enjoy better, doing the voice acting, directing, producing at Funimation, or did on-camera stuff sort of pull you in a different direction?
In Dallas, I really thought I wanted to do more on camera. At that same time, I did a film that went to Sundance that year, and it was, really well received and everything, and that was all at the same time. So I was like, this is my sign. I'm gonna go out to LA and have a film career.
That's when you decided, really.
Yeah. And then once I got to LA, realized how much more voiceover there is here than there was in Dallas. Because in Dallas, Funimation is the place to be. That's
Yeah.
where you do it. And you go in every day, and it's like an office environment, right? And here, everything records at different studios. It's constantly changing up, and you don't get the same pigeonhole that you do when you get to know people for years and years and years. You're with them for a decade. You kind of go, this is a role for so and so, this is a role for Laura, this is a role for Brian. Where when I came out here, nobody had that anymore. It was all open again. So
then you had to really audition like crazy to
I
get
had
the
to
parts.
prove it, in order to get anything, and it opened up the doors in my brain again to voice acting, and realized how much I loved it again. So.
Was it hard for you finding success in Dallas, in that, even if the pond was smaller, you were able to tackle a lot of different creative things at once at a super young age? Was it
Yeah.
hard to come out here and then be like a smaller fish in a huger pond?
Oh yeah, yeah. One of the first jobs I ever did out here was with Liam directing me.
Really?
Yeah.
What was it?
I can't remember. It was for an anime.
Yeah.
But I would probably remember if he hadn't just gone, just Walla. Because he was he didn't know what I could do, and he's like, I'm not going to trust you to play this part, so I'm just going to give you background characters. And so I did that for him, and then slowly built up again.
Do you think he's so nice to you now because he's making up for that?
Maybe. It's all from that one session. No.
So then you end up auditioning, getting a lot of stuff, and working out here a lot.
It took a bit.
But still,
yeah.
How long did it take till you felt like, okay, I'm really doing this now?
A year before it felt like there was I came out with my little pool of savings, and by the time I was working, I had run out of that.
Did you do any day jobs or anything like that in between, or did you just live off that savings till you were able to act full time?
I made jewelry and sold it on Etsy.
You did? What kind of jewelry?
You know, like necklaces and earrings and bracelets and a bunch of stuff.
So then video games come along.
Yeah.
After you got to LA, what point of your career did you start working on video games and switching over from anime to doing stuff like that?
Well, I did video games in Texas, actually.
Oh, really? That
Yeah.
far back?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I started doing video games, oh gosh. It's probably right around the same time that I started at Funimation. Maybe like at 20 I did Blood Rain was my very
Yeah,
first
Blood
video
Rain.
game. Actually, no, that might be a lie. Deus Ex might be my first video game.
Really?
It was right around the same time. But Blood Rain was my first like big thing that I did.
But mocap hadn't really become a thing
No,
yet
no,
at
no,
that
no.
point. So you were
Mocap
just,
was, like,
still
nothing
doing-
on the
yeah, you
horizon
were
yet.
still doing just voiceover stuff.
Yeah.
Was it ever hard for you, because you started directing so young and so early on in your career, was it hard for you to work with directors? Was it like, I kind of know what I'm doing already?
No,
It wasn't hard
no.
for you to take direction?
No, I honestly prefer acting to directing.
Hmm.
I like the freedom that you get as an actor.
Is that why you don't really do any directing anymore? Because you
Yeah.
just sort of prefer acting?
I do. I prefer acting. I mean, if the opportunity came up, I don't know if I would say no to it. If the timing worked out. But yeah, I prefer getting to play be in that moment.
At what point then in this journey does Travis circle around to, besides, you waiting 2 years to give him a job and...
Travis and I, so after that happened, we dated briefly.
He
I say
talked about
briefly,
that.
we dated for like a year, but it was like casual. So like we would, date and then he would wait 4 days to call me. But
He
then,
did admit that he handled that extremely poorly.
Yeah,
when
he
he was
did.
here, he was very... Now, he knows you're going to watch it, so of course...
Right, of
but he was
course.
very apologetic about... Yeah.
But no, it was a bad circle that both of us did because he would do that and then by the time he called me, I would be like, whatever, man.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't call him for another 4 days. And so we would go on a date and then it would be like 2 weeks before we would go on another date. And then it would happen again because we just keep doing that game with each other. So yeah, we dated for a year, but it was very casual.
And then when did that end up coming back around to where when he called you, you actually wanted to answer the phone?
We started talking again over, I don't know how many years went by, but we ran into each other at a convention and it was like, oh, you're cool. Okay. You're not a dick. Let's become friends. So then we were friends. And so when I decided to move out to LA, he said he would help me find a place to live and was very kind and telling me what areas were nice and what might be better for me and helped me look for an apartment when I came out. And then
Did you get the idea at that point that he was interested in maybe giving it a better shot?
like he was flirting a little bit, but
But who doesn't?
right. And then after I moved out, then we started dating again.
Was he better this time around?
He was
Obviously,
so much
you married
better
him.
this time, right?
He had his own growing up to do, though.
He was,
like we all
were
end up
20,
doing.
21. I mean,
No
people are
relationship
dicks
at that age is good. Yeah. Nobody. You don't really have yourself figured out yet. So
Nah.
how are you going to?
Both of us were, like I said, very much in the casual dating stage. Before.
Yeah. You've been married 7 years now.
Jeez Louise. 7 years.
Why are you acting like that's new information?
I just don't think about it. 7 years. Well,
You've been
7
married
years at the
7
end of
years
this
at
month.
the end of this month. Yeah.
Jeez.
Most of it good.
All of it good.
You guys.
We don't get
have-
in fights.
Yeah, you don't really fight that much. Well, part of it
No.
is he cowers immediately when
Dragon
he knows
Ice.
that you're upset. Yeah, he talked about the Ice Queen when he was here.
Did he?
Yeah.
No, he didn't. Did he? We're gonna fight.
No, he didn't. Let's cut that out of the
Oh.
episode.
We get
The
along.
Ice Queen stare is real.
Is it?
I can tell you from knowing you all these years that there will be something I say and I will scan the room, tears of laughter across hundreds of people, but then I'll get to you
And I'm like,
and you'll just have this sort of look and then I leave.
I'm plotting your demise in those moments. Yeah.
If you catch you on the wrong day, you look like you're plotting a lot of people's demise.
Isn't that? It's when I'm tired. Probably is when I look the worst.
Are you tired
like
all the time?
Meanest. You're a dick.
So you guys end up working on a lot of stuff together, but you're
Yeah.
both voice actors and you're both in LA trying to make it,
Yeah.
and you're trying to make a living doing it. That's what I mean by make it, really, because when you're first starting out, success is based on, can I just do this and pay my bills and sort of keep going? A lot of people that end up becoming a spouse or, in a relationship with someone that has the same career that they do, there's competition and there's sometimes a lot of friction and stuff.
Right.
Did you guys experience any of that?
Honestly, no. And I think it came from in our past relationships. I dated people that were very combative and very competitive in that way. And anytime you would get a job, you would deal with them being angry at you or mean to you for a few days until they got over it that they hadn't booked it. It's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot when actors date actors, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I just never dealt with that with Travis, and I never felt that way for Travis. Both of us were very supportive of any job that the other one got.
A win for them was a win for both of you.
I mean, yeah, you're a
ultimately.
partnership. Why wouldn't it be?
Was there ever any jobs or any experiences where people were concerned about the fact that you guys were together and then working on a project together?
There were several times that they didn't realize that we were together until we got to the job. When we were both on Halo,
Yeah.
they had no idea we were together. We both
Because you still use your better last name.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, we booked the job and then we showed up together holding hands, and they were like, "Oh, well, that's great that you guys are dating." We're like, "Oh, by the way, yeah, we're married."
Yeah, we've
Yeah,
been
they had
married for a
no
couple
idea.
years.
And then when we worked on Second Son, I think they were a little concerned because Infamous Second Son, because
yeah.
we were working on it with Troy, and me and Troy were love interests in it, which happens a lot. And then Travis was like the brother that I didn't get along with, which was really funny. So they were a little like, "Is this going to be weird? Is this going to work?" And it's like,
because you had to do a sort of semi-intimate moment with Troy, who's like a brother to you. So that was like,
yeah, we had to kiss.
yeah. I remember asking Travis his side of that entire thing, if he was sitting there in the corner, just like
texting.
fuming.
No, he stood off to the side pointing.
He was pointing and
Yeah,
laughing.
he
the whole
pointed.
time.
I mean, he literally, while we were filming, like, did that as a joke, but it was, yeah.
No tongue.
Don't ever do. Like, after that first kiss, me and Troy, like, broke off, and both of us took off running the opposite directions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just going.
Then you end up in a Naughty Dog game,
Yeah.
Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uncharted 4.
What was that like? A lot of people, that's sort of a big leap in their career to end up in a AAA
I know, right?
game like that, where you have a pretty significant part to the
Yeah.
storyline. And
It was extra, like, because we're such good friends with Troy and Ashley, and they had just talked so much about what it was like to work with Neil, and I wanted to be in that game so bad, And again, when I was auditioning for Last of Us, I was just like, the pain I felt in those auditions of just like, God, I hope I do a good job. I really, 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 really want to do this. Yeah, it's hard to not let your nerves get the better of you when you're doing that.
what was the attraction there? It's a lot of it because they're known for. It's fine. A lot of it because they're known for telling great stories and
Yeah.
really exploring characters, but the collaborative aspect there had to be attractive because I know you're somebody that wants to do heavy research and planning and figuring a character out ahead of time and throughout the entire process of working on a character.
And you want to be working with people that you can trust, that they're going to make your performance the best that it can be. And, sometimes you work on a project and maybe your director isn't somebody that you trust that well. And like the whole time you're going, what are they going to do with this? Is this going to come together okay? And I'm #blessed with that a lot, to get to work with different developers that really they care.
Yeah.
And that's happening more and more. I haven't worked on a project in the last few years with anybody that didn't just fully commit themselves to their project,
I think there's a lot more at stake nowadays, and I think that there's so much competition and games are kind of expensive, and they know that in order to sort of carve out a space or really cut through the noise, it has to be a compelling piece of art. And so people that are more willing to work and flesh out characters and storylines.
Yeah. And now, they see one game that has a compelling story and it makes them want to do something better, and then it keeps growing from there.
What kind of characters do you like to play the most?
Gosh. Like, it's really fun to play villains. But like anti-heroes, I think are really fun. I always love playing characters that have like a romantic interest too, though.
It's because you're sort of a hopeless romantic at heart. Hopeless because of who you married, but romantic nonetheless.
I just love those stories so much.
Yeah.
I just love it. And then when you get to be part of that story,
Because that's the stuff you like to read, right?
Yeah, porn. No. No, what are we talking about?
The characters that you've created yourself. Speaking of Critical Role and the two characters that you've played on that show now for some time each, when you're approaching, because it's obviously different than when someone hands you a script and says, this is the character, even if you're in a super collaborative and creative environment like Naughty Dog, where you have a lot of say, and some of these other developers, where you end up having a lot of say about what that character is like, and from its inception to when you wrap on that game, there's a lot of conversation and collaboration there. In this situation, you make up someone for this home game and immediately took to the RP side. Everybody that I've talked to about back in those days when you guys were just a home game said that you immediately had no problem going into the RP, where for a lot of people, for role-playing can be a little awkward at first. It's weird. You're just sitting in your normal clothes around a table. There's no cameras. Why do you think you took to that so quickly?
Because I played a lot of role-playing games on computer.
You think that was a big part of it?
I fully think that's why. Because my favorite games were Mass Effect and Dragon Age, right? And all the King's Quest games. I mean, all those things growing up. And so I was used to, you walk into a scenario and these are your dialogue options, and this has this effect, right?
Yeah.
So I just approached it like I would do in a video game, and that's why it worked.
It worked great.
It worked out.
What was important to you about Vex?
What was important to me? Well,
what was important to you? What were her characteristics that you felt like, as the thing became more serious and it was like, this is going to be a fully fleshed out character, what were the important sort of tentpoles for you of going like, I kind of want her to be, obviously you said you wanted her to be hot, when you were talking about, but I mean, personality wise.
I wanted her to be strong and snarky and confident and hot. And really, that was pretty much it when we started.
Were those the characteristics you identified with in characters that you played in video games?
Yeah, those were like the options that I would always choose. Like I said, the anti-hero, I wanted that like renegade sort of option where, you say something shitty but you do the right thing. That's what I wanted her to be like. And I didn't even realize, like, it's so funny because when we were first filming those opening credits, like the ones where it was like the stop.
Yeah.
And I was trying to think, everyone was like, come up with something that you would do for your character, like a pose or something you can do. And I was like, well, maybe I could have like a bag of coins, or I can flip a coin or something, which I hadn't even registered that she was greedy until we really started playing on the stream. But at that point I was like, well, I do like money in the game, so maybe I'll do something with coins. And then it wasn't until we like started playing more and more that I was like, oh shit, she's a greedy little bitch.
Interesting.
But I love it. Yeah.
So you sort of realized that.
That is something that grew as we were playing more and more and more. Yeah.
And then you knew you wanted to have a romantic interest.
No.
Because that's
what we do. Yeah, no. I had no idea. Like, I don't think I ever realized that you could have anything like that in a D&D game.
Really?
Yeah, no, that didn't enter my brain at all. Not until Liam, like, did the first initiation. Vex told Keyleth he was in love with her. I mean, like, I was blown away that was an option, that
Yeah.
was something you could do. It
Yeah.
hadn't registered in my brain.
And then after that, you were like, I must have this.
No, even then, I don't know how it happened with Vex and Percy. I really don't.
Fast forward, you're in a bathtub.
Fast forward. Naked
Most
time, lots
iconic
of sex.
scene of campaign 1.
Man,
Bathing with Percy.
Liam was so pissed
Why?
about that moment. Because he had this really great conversation, and
Oh,
I
and then-
fucked it all with coming up out of the bathtub.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the first. So you play that character for years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you level up and you experience all of the sort of tangible characteristics, and you get more spells and skills and shit like that you end up getting. But how, playing a character over that long amount of time, how do you still create arcs and bring out more of their personality? Doesn't it feel like after 2 years you've sort of explored everything you can? How do you
Do you
keep
feel
it
like
alive?
after 2 years of being you that you've explored every aspect of yourself?
I felt that way around 4. I felt that way around 4 years old, and I've felt that way since.
No, I feel like
No, but that's an interesting
yeah,
perspective,
It's
yeah.
just your person, right? In
Yeah.
the game, there's always something new. That's why if somebody says this is out of character, that's not something you would do. I don't believe that, because I do spontaneous things that somebody wouldn't expect, you
Yeah.
know? And it just, all it does is introduce a different aspect of myself and go, oh my God, I can do that.
So you leave room for growth, too.
Yeah.
You never lock it off and say, I think this is about as far as this character is going to go.
No.
Because you really don't have a choice when you're in a campaign where the story is
Just
outside of
keeps-
your
yeah,
hands.
exactly. But that's the thing. When the story is outside of your hands, then your only option is to react to that and grow because of that.
How do you think role-playing and improv and all the stuff that you end up having to use as a skill on the show has grown over the last few years for you?
I mean, massively.
You think quicker, you
Yeah.
have to make decisions super fast.
It's much easier to react in character when you're, But, that's, I don't know, that might be a lie.
What do you
Because
mean?
that was always one of my favorite things anyway about theater or anything is the reaction. So I know a lot of actors that just, it's that joke of bullshit, bullshit, my line, bullshit, bullshit, my line. And they don't ever have anything going on outside of, this is my motivation and this is why I'm doing something. And they don't think about, we're having a conversation and you've got to react to that. If you do something spontaneous, I'm going to do something to react to that. It's
react
going to
to that.
change my performance.
Right.
And if it doesn't change your performance, then you're doing it wrong,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Is there anything...
In my opinion. That's,
No, I understand what you're saying. Is there anything or anywhere that you wanted Vex to go that you weren't able to? Is there anything with that character that you felt was unexplored by the end of that story?
I don't think so. No, because he gave us that wonderful,
Epilogue.
to go, where would you go with this? Where would life take them?
How hard was it for you to say goodbye to that character?
That was hard.
Yeah.
It was weird because there was an excitement about starting something new, but I still miss her. I still find myself, fighting a reaction that would be more Vex than it is Jester.
So then it comes time to create an all-new character. What was different this time about creating that one versus the first one? Because you obviously knew the game better.
Right.
You had all these years of experience.
I'm still
under your
shit
belt.
at creating a character that is like thinking about the mechanics of the game, though. I'm bad at that.
As far as what you pick out for all of your utilities and
Yeah,
stuff?
just terrible. Because I think about it in terms of RP. And so I'm like, ooh, yeah, I'm going to have this spell or I'm going to have this cool weapon. That is just shit, really, when you have it in the game. There's no good reason for it.
But it makes sense in the RP element for the
Right.
character for you. So to you, that's a more important choice.
Yes, until I'm in combat and I'm like,
Yeah, why did
yeah,
I
and I'm
choose
watching
this?
Marisha totally kicking so much ass with all of her monk skills, and I'm like, what did I do?
But my candy came.
But I have a lollipop. Yeah.
When you talk about backstories, are you the type of actor, because a lot of people do this, where if you don't know the history, the genesis, the backstory of a character that someone hands you in a script, is that something that you think about? Is it important for you as an actor to know this is where this person came from, this is what their ideals are, this is sort of what their moral center is? Or is that something that mainly you just think about when you're creating your own character?
No, depending on how long I'm going to be with a character, like I don't necessarily do that for everything.
Mm-hmm.
But for the projects that you're going to be working on for a long time, I certainly like to know all of those things. But oftentimes with an audition or something like that, you just go in and I want to know where I'm coming from, at least, you know.
That's the context that you feel like makes you most comfortable and ready to play that.
Yeah.
To play that character.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you have fun writing a backstory.
Yeah.
For the characters that you've created yourself.
Yeah, it's more intimidating to do it for a character that somebody else created. You know, like when we were working on Uncharted, and Neil, he called me on the phone and he's like, "Okay, let's talk about Nadine," and he's like, "What's her favorite band? What's her favorite song? You know, what does she like to do for hobbies?" And like that stuff, I very rarely think about for any. Honestly, the only other characters I've ever done that for have been for this.
For Critical Role, yeah.
We make our playlists and stuff, you know, and it's like, it's so weird to think about what would Nadine do when she's just sitting at home, you know? And it opens up this whole different aspect of the character. Like you realize, oh, you're not just like this badass that just kicks butt. You have a life.
Yeah.
What is that life?
What does it look like? What does it sound like?
Yeah.
What do you want to know before you either sit at the table that first day or you show up on set that first day? What are the most important things for you? Go like, I can figure some of this stuff out later, but I want to have this. Because for a lot of actors, that question can be answered very differently.
Yeah.
What are those tenets for you?
Like...
You don't like to play a damsel in distress, for instance.
No, I don't.
So for you, an important thing is that it not be someone that constantly has to be rescued or lean on a man or another character or et cetera, to be... It's not that you only play independent characters, but I know that that's something that's important to you.
I have this weird tendency, though, to read dialogue and read a scene from a perspective that it's not a damsel in distress. So like a lot of times which gets me in trouble, like if I'm reading a book and the character's lame or something like that, I'll read it in my head that she's not lame. Like she's saying all these stupid things, but sarcastically.
You'll transform it in your mind.
Yeah. And then when I realize, oh, they were really just a damsel in distress. Here I thought they were really badass this whole time. So yeah, I tend to approach it from that angle anyway.
Yeah.
But it's always nice when the creators support that.
Right.
Yeah.
Interactive entertainment is obviously a lot different than it was 10 years ago when you moved out here.
True, Brian. Very true.
Statement. There's a lot of conversation in the last few years about women's roles in interactive entertainment. It seems like things are shifting. It seems like the conversation is changing. Like there's not a lot of characters that you find now in a leading role that are a damsel in distress or
really
that
not.
fit those tropes.
Yeah, and there's a concerted effort to make sure it's not like that. You know, like I'll be in a session and they'll say, "What can we do? How can we change this line to make her not seem weak?"
Yeah.
You know, we don't want it to be that. We want her to be self-reliant.
Does it seem like that was not really a part of the conversation when you were first starting out?
That wasn't even in the thought process when I first started.
Yeah. Is it refreshing for you as an actor that also happens to be a woman that is progressing and it's changing? It's opening up better roles for you. It's opening up better roles for a lot of other female actors.
Yeah. I mean, fingers crossed I won't have to do, the embarrassing sessions anymore that I had to do a lot.
When you were younger?
When I was,
Yeah.
Even not so, and I'm pretty sure I've told you this story before, but I'm going to say it again.
Tell me again.
When the day that Infamous First Light came out, which was
The DLC for Infamous Second
yeah,
Son.
and I was so proud of it because Fetch was such an awesome character and such a strong character, and she took her circumstances and used them to her advantage. And I was really proud of it and proud of her strength. And I had a recording session that day, and I showed up. I didn't know what it was for. And I showed up and I walked in the door, and they said, okay, so you're going to be playing hooker number 3. And if you could just, make some noises like, you're having sex. The player character is going to walk over past this door, and they're going to hear sex on the inside.
And
I was just like,
you.
and it was just like this moment of,
Yeah.
we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Because you're on the same day that you're celebrating this character that is strong and independent and
Yeah.
against a lot of those tropes, and then
And what's crazy is
Hooker number 3.
I've played so many voices of hookers in the past. You don't even think about it. It's just it's in games so much.
yeah,
That it had never crossed my mind in the past that when I'm
Yeah,
doing that, and
yeah.
that was the first time it went. I don't want to do this. I still did it.
but you don't take roles like that anymore. Right?
Not if they tell me what it's gonna be. And now, if I walked in and they would be like, "You're playing a hooker," I'd be like, "Am I?
Yeah.
Am I? I don't know."
Yeah.
I'm a mom. I can't play a hooker anymore.
Yeah. Plot twist, guys. This hooker is about to kill everyone.
Right?
Yeah. Well,
I actually,
I have
that
to throw
day-
away my script for Murder Hookers 3.
That day I did play disinterested hooker because I refused to sound like I was having a good
Wait,
time.
they changed it to
I just, all the lines that I did,
Disinterested
they were
hooker?
like, it's funny if you're playing it like that, we're okay with it. Because I was not about to actually sound like I was having sex.
Yay. I
Yeah.
love this.
Oh, that feels so good.
Wow, you're like sarcastic hooker.
Yeah, so that's what I did.
More, please. Wow, I hope this goes on forever.
You really know what you're doing. That's amazing.
Is your name actually John? People have conversations a lot about tolerance, and they say tolerance is, the key to harmony and et cetera, being tolerant of all kinds of different types of people. You're somebody that has always chosen to transcend tolerance towards love and acceptance. Where does that come from for you? If I look at your group of friends and I look at the people that you're closest to, there are several different types of people mixed into there.
Yeah.
And you seem to be a lot more accepting of people and of different types of personalities. Where do you think that comes from?
Fuck, I don't know. My mom was always big on just empathy and making sure that we understood where other people were coming from. And anytime, even just walking down the street and seeing like a homeless person on the street and asking for money, it was never just, this is just a person sitting on the street. Like, there's a lot of people that just walk by, and it was always, who is that person? Where did they come from? Why are they doing what they do? And what can you do to help them? And that was when I was even a kid. And then, we all go through different things in life that make you realize different things. My sister is a lesbian, and she came out very early. And I don't even know, I was 10 or 12 when she came out.
Yeah. So she was a teenager.
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
a teenager, and I saw that it was very hard for her, and saw what she was going through. And there was never a part of me that was like, she needs to change or that needs to be different. It was always, why isn't anybody else seeing that, and why are people being mean to her for this, or why can't she be happy?
Because you knew her.
Why isn't she allowed to be happy? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because her sexuality is just a small part of what makes her her, and
Exactly.
you saw all those other parts. So to you, that sort of prejudice didn't make sense.
It doesn't. None of it makes sense. I always think that that racism or bigotry or anything like that is a product of environment, and the only way that people are going to overcome that is exposure.
Yeah.
Because anybody that's around different cultures and different races and different sexualities, anybody that's around that a lot realizes, oh, everybody's just human.
Yeah.
You're not going to keep that prejudice if you are around it
Yeah.
and you see it.
Yeah.
And if you're in a little bubble of this environment, then maybe that's why you still feel that way. And you know, kids that are brought up in a racist environment, maybe that's why all they need to do is get away from it.
Is actually experience more of what's in the world, and they'll have.
And it's a horrible thing that if you're in that bubble and you never see outside of that bubble, you don't even know. It's so sad.
Was it really hard to watch your sister go through a lot of that sort of, treatment, and because your family was accepting of it, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. They were very quickly accepting of it, but it was a shock.
Yeah.
I was never shocked by it.
Yeah.
But,
your sisters, you understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so funny when she came out, and my dad was like, "It's a phase."
Oh, really?
And my mom was like, "I just don't know what's going on." And I remember at like age 10 going to my mom and going, Jenny's talked about boys that were cute before. Maybe she's bi. And my mom was like, "Well,
she's like, you're not making me feel better right now."
Yeah, it's just whatever to me. I was just like, whatever. They came that shock, I guess, very quickly.
Having a sister going through that in high school years.
It was hard for her in high school.
Yeah.
I can imagine. And I was a few years younger than her, but, I saw friendships come and go for her because of that.
Did you guys become closer because of that and because of her kind of going through that, or do you guys seem to always have been close?
Yeah,
right?
It might have been the moving around. I don't know. We just always got along so well. I mean, we fought because we were sisters.
Of course.
Like you do.
You're going to. Yeah.
She was always so peaceful, and I was the kid that would be like, I would hold her down, even though I was 3 years younger, and I would try to beat her up. Or like we'd be in the back seat, and I would be like, and then go, "Ow, Mom, Jenny's hitting me." Like that's
Did you
so
hear that?
Shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me. I was that shithead. Cheers, brother.
You gotta drink more.
I feel like I'm drinking so much.
Well, it's good, isn't it?
It is. It's really good.
How old do you think Ronan, your son, will be when he first says
Mama?
those magic 3 words to you that every
Where
mother...
are you going to go with this?
That every mother wants to hear their child say, which is, "I love football."
Oh, God. It's already on TV, and he's already watching it.
Does he focus? Does it look like... Is Travis watching him watch the TV when the Cowboys are on, going, "Connection. Let's make a connection here"?
When it's on TV, Travis doesn't see anything other than the television. So, he probably doesn't even know his son's in the room. Mm-hmm. That's so shitty. That's a lie.
That's a total
That's
lie.
a total lie.
I'm censor barring the fuck out of that.
Yeah, no, that's a total lie. No, he's doesn't know what it is yet, but there's movement and stuff, so he'll be in his little play mat, and you can move him any direction, and he's still
Yeah.
trying to find the TV.
Mm-hmm. He's gonna be raised on a tablet.
He's got so many Cowboys clothes already.
I know.
He's got Cowboys shoes, Cowboys hat. It's ridiculous. My sister bought him a Chiefs onesie. My family's a Chiefs family.
Yeah, but they have to know that there's no conversion that's going to happen there.
It'll just be on a Chiefs day, he wears the Chiefs stuff. On a Cowboys day, he wears the Cowboy stuff.
Travis, a lot of people don't know this, but his back is completely covered in a giant Cowboys star.
Yeah, and also an Emmitt Smith signature. I don't know. I was trying to think of something Cowboysy, and I couldn't even.
He hasn't been a player for 20 years. You're a mom now.
I'm a mom.
About 9 weeks into...
10 weeks
10
today,
weeks
bitch.
Today.
Yeah.
Really? How does it feel? Is it overwhelming? Is it is it exciting? Is it all of those things?
It's all of that. It's all of that.
Travis used the word terrifying. Do you feel the same way?
Nah.
You don't?
No, I don't feel terrified.
You obviously took to it quite naturally.
Don't most moms? Don't most parents? I don't know. Do
I
they?
think so. I think there's definitely still some panic. There's a shock for people like us that are not older, but we're older than our parents were when they started having kids.
Oh yeah.
You're set in your ways a little bit.
Okay,
is it a shock to the system?
That
in
panic
way?
is real. Because even when I was just getting bigger and getting bigger, it was like we're really comfortable doing what we do. You know, we're used to even just coming here and playing until who knows when. And if when it ends, then you go home. Who cares?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, when he's out and it's like, I can't just play until eternity. He needs to be fed.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah.
And that's life now, just constantly going, when did he last eat? Because he's surviving based on what I provide for him. It's crazy.
What are some of the most important things that you want him to grow up knowing about the world?
Oh my God.
Like, what are because you have to, obviously you guys are thinking about that stuff. You're in that parent panic, but you're also in that, I want to raise this kid. It's a new world compared to the early 80s when we were born and
Is it
growing
sad that
up.
I just want him to know love and to want him to be happy?
That's not sad.
And to be a good person. All I want is for him to be a good human. And a happy human.
Thankfully, he has Travis as an example.
Right, because he'd be fucked if it was just me.
When I talked to Travis, we talked about him losing his dad at a young age.
Yeah.
Now he's a father himself. You guys have this beautiful boy.
Yeah.
He has taken to it so naturally. How cool is that for you to see?
It's so wonderful. He's a really good dad already.
He is. Yeah. More? You want more already? Are you one of those people that immediately
fucking
was
Barbara
like...
Walters?
Yeah, I know.
Jackass.
I know. Did you grow up wanting a lot of kids, or did you grow up wanting like one kid, or?
I always thought two, just because we had two in our family, but then the whole time Travis and I have been married, it's just kind of been like, just the one, right? Probably just the one.
Yeah.
So we probably just have the one.
Do you
I mean, who knows? In 3 years, I might change my mind, but
You might change your mind.
yeah.
Is stability.
He's a really good dad, Brian.
He's a great dad. No, that's why I'm saying he took to it so naturally,
know.
and I know that he had a great example.
He did.
And we talked about that. Even though that was sort of cut short, he is somebody that sort of raised his younger brother as well, and like had to take care of a lot of things. So
Yeah.
it makes sense that he would take to it naturally.
Yeah.
Is stability and consistency something that you feel like you want to have in the structure of your life, because you guys moved around so much and things were it was hard for you to make friends and everything? And I know we're in a business that's very fluid, and do you think about that?
Honestly, I don't think it hurt me having that sort of environment growing up. I feel like I didn't think anything of it, when we would move from one place to another. And I think it probably, if anything, helped me be exposed, like I said, to a lot of different types of people. No, I mean, obviously stability with us, yes. I always want to be there for him and everything, but I think seeing the world is a good thing.
Thanks for coming on.
Oh my God, are we done? We're
I think
done.
so. I said we'll go until the tears come.
You fuck.
And then I've gotten what I've wanted out of her. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Brian.
I think we should finish these, though.
Just chug it?
You want to?
No, I don't want to chug it.
I got so excited. Should I have gotten a little sippy straw?
I gotta feed the baby. I gotta feed the baby after I've drank and this has
baby's
gone
gonna be
away.
white
It's not
girl
gonna be like,
wasted.
he's not gonna drink while I'm drinking.
Want to know what happens when a whiskey sour and an old fashioned make love? I do too, but until then, here's how we like our maple bourbon sour. First, you're going to take your shaker, add half a cup of ice. So graceful, so smooth. Then, pour in 2 ounces of bourbon. After that, 3/4 ounce of maple syrup. Also, 1.5 ounces of fresh lemon juice. For this one, we're gonna shake for several seconds. Then, strain over an ice ball into a cocktail glass. Garnish with with a nice lemon wedge. It's ready to go. Citrusy, sweet, and goes down smooth. Enjoy. Stay turned responsibly, my friends. Just like the nuns used to make it.